Fire, before we begin, gather close to the fire. Because what you're about to hear is not just a story. It's a warning whispered from the edge of the spirit world. If you love stories rooted in African mystery, truth, and the unexplainable, click subscribe now and ring that bell, because the fire never lies, but it burns those who forget. The earth was too soft that morning, damp with rain that hadn't fallen. The villagers noticed it. They whispered about it. But no one dared say what they were all thinking. Amara stood near the edge of the grave, her face veiled, her body trembling. Not from grief, not from loss, from something else. Something she couldn't explain. Something she felt deep in her bones. Her husband, Obinna, was gone. Just 2 days ago he'd been laughing, fixing the roof, drinking palm wine under the old Irako tree. And now this. His body lay inside the coffin made from the bark of the sacred Ojirasai tree. The elders said it would guide him safely to the ancestors. But no one asked why it smelled like fresh blood. The villagers stood still as the drummers beat their final rhythm. The priest spoke words that no one truly heard. As the coffin was lowered, Amara's fingers clenched tighter around the folded handkerchief in her palm. Her heart skipped. A whisper passed her ears. "I'm not dead." Her eyes darted around. No one moved. No one else heard it. Or did they? Amara met Obinna 5 years ago during the Yam festival. He wasn't the most handsome man in the village, but he was kind. A little too kind. He laughed too easily, forgave too quickly, and always avoided conflict. The elders said he was blessed with peace. Amara now wondered if he was simply hiding. Their marriage had been normal. No children despite all the prayers. No loud fights, but no passion either. Just silence. And that eerie stillness that followed Obinna wherever he went. Some nights he'd wake up screaming. Not like a man who had a bad dream, but like someone trapped in another world. His eyes would dart around the room, not recognizing her. Once he muttered a name. Muo. Spirit. She thought nothing of it at the time. She should have. Started with the crow. A single black crow perched on their rooftop for 3 nights straight, cawing loudly whenever Amara stepped outside. The 4th night Obinna fell sick. No fever. No pain. Just stillness. Like his body had forgotten how to breathe. He laid on the mat, eyes open, mouth agape. The village healer came and shook her head. There is no sickness in him. He is caught between worlds. Priest came next. He offered prayers, sprinkled holy water, and whispered into Obinna's ears. The man did not blink. That night, Amara dreamed of a grave, fresh, unmarked, with a hand reaching out of it. She woke up screaming, her hand stained with dirt that wasn't there the night before. The villagers declared him dead on the 7th day. His body was cold, his breath gone, no heartbeat, but his eyes, they were open. And in them, Amara swore she saw fear. Not the kind that comes from dying, but the kind that comes from being buried alive. Still, the elders said the spirit must be sent home before it begins to rot. So they prepared his body. They sang. They danced. They dug the grave. And Amara stood by, watching, frozen, hearing his voice again and again in her mind. "I'm not dead." That night the sky split open. Thunder cracked like bones breaking. The wind howled like mourning spirits. Rain fell not as drops, but as curses. The villagers said the ancestors were angry, that someone had done something unforgivable. In the dark of her hut, Amara heard the drums again. But this time no one was playing. She stepped outside. The wind stopped. The world went silent. And from the forest, just beyond the graves, she heard her husband's voice. "Why did you leave me there?" Amara could not sleep. She could not eat. The voice came every night. Louder. Closer. She told the village priest. He warned her. "Some spirits are not meant to return. If you open that grave, you may bury more than just bones." But guilt gnawed at her soul. 3 days later, before dawn, she went alone with a shovel. She dug. With every strike of the earth, the air grew colder. When the coffin appeared, she hesitated. Her hands shook as she pried it open. Only the handkerchief she buried with him remained, soaked in blood. Amara ran. Back to the village. Back to the priest. To anyone who would listen. They said she imagined it. That she disturbed the dead and now carried a curse. But that night Obinna returned. Not in dreams. Not as a whisper. He stood outside her door. Skin pale. Hollow. Mouth open. And in his hand, the handkerchief. You buried me, Amara. Now come lie with me. Obinna haunted her every step. He appeared in mirrors. In shadows. In water. She heard his laugh behind closed doors. The village began to suffer. Crops died. Children fell sick. Goats refused to eat. The elders gathered. They said a ritual must be performed. One that hadn't been done in generations. The calling of the bound soul. But the ritual required something impossible. Amara must walk into the spirit world and bring him back. At midnight, the priest opened the portal. Fire. Smoke. Bones drawn in chalk. Incantations whispered in ancient tongue. Amara stepped forward. And everything went dark. She awoke in a forest where trees had eyes. Where the ground whispered. Where time did not exist. Walk. She called his name. And he answered. Obinna sat beneath a bleeding tree, staring into nothing. You buried me before I was ready. Now I can never sleep. Amara wept. Let me bring you back. He turned slowly. Only if you trade places. She refused. Rose. The ground trembled. The tree behind him split open, revealing visions of their life, and her betrayal. Because Obinna had known. He had known that Amara poisoned him, not to kill but to silence. She wanted his land, his house, his secrets, and now the spirits demanded balance. He screamed. The world spun. And she woke up, gasping in her bed. It had all been a vision, or so she thought, until she saw the grave open. Until the handkerchief appeared on her doorstep. Until a villager found a body in the woods. Not Obinna's but hers. Buried, cold, lifeless. Amara was no longer among the living. But she had not crossed over. She was now with him. If you think this story is over, think again. In the next episode, the real horror begins. Because the dead don't just haunt. They remember. And they demand justice. Subscribe to Tales by the Fire * now so you don't miss the terrifying conclusion in episode 2. Coming soon.